Good morning, listeners and viewers. You're listening to Ammar and
Jalf.
live on our weekly radio show and video broadcast.
And each week we're going to try and bring you some views, news, and one or two clues from the business world.
And Asian Business Connections aims to connect, support, and promote the Asian and wider business community.
And we'll be talking shop quite literally, and not just corner shops. Whether you look to start a business, you have an existing business, or you just want to talk business, we can help.
We can help. We can help. And we do help. So it's Friday, Saturday, Sunday, what? I'm sure that's a song, isn't it? And it's the 28th of May. Yeah.
It's the 28th of May, isn't it? So what's the date today? The
28th of May.
Yeah, it's unbelievable, isn't it? How the time has just flown by.
Crazy. Absolutely crazy is all it's done. I mean, come tomorrow, half of the year's gone.
It's incredible.
Oh, in a couple of days' time. Anyway, good week, bad week? Yeah, what's going on?
Yeah, it's an exhausting week for sure in hospitality. Anyone that's involved in hospitality, I think people have been kind of drained of socializing, which is always such a key part of everybody's lives. And when the opportunity was given to get that back, I think all the restaurants must be so incredibly busy, because we certainly are. And it's challenging, because I think the biggest challenge, Ammar, and I had a wine supplier in yesterday, and he goes around and he supplies a number of, he's a top wine supplier. He supplies a number of operators in the city. And basically he was telling me the number of good businesses that have decided not to open 7 days a week because they can't find the staff.
It's crazy.
It's an absolute crisis. I think there is a crisis at the moment, and I don't know how they're going to solve it, because it's not something that I think I touched upon this last week. The shortage in the labor force of qualified individuals that can have what it's required to work in hospitality, they're just not there. And I think unless there is some kind of intervention from government, I don't really know what can be done to sort that out, because there's just not enough people there that you can bring on. I mean, we could be doing another 40% right now if we were able to recruit the right people. And if you imagine you times that by a number of operators in the city and then around the country, how much revenue the government is losing and we're losing. But on the same token, there's only so much we can do with the resource that we have. And that's not really a challenge that we've really faced before. The challenges we faced before is, are we able to attract the customers or the public to a particular venue? Are we going to be able to sustain it? Are we going to be able to maintain the quality? But it's never been about, are we able to recruit the resource? It's been more about the business plan. That's never really been the thing that you've worried about in the past, but it's definitely a worry now. And it's not just us, it's across the board.
It's crazy that we have these challenges in this day and age, because the Spice FM, right, that's better. So the Spice FM feed was being echoed. So anyway, biggest challenge is undoubtedly people, Jack, in business in any regard. So it doesn't matter whether we're in a pandemic or been in a pandemic or come out of that, of course, that's a big influence. But getting the right people for your staff is one of the biggest challenges in the grand,
Mm.
at any point in time. And given that we have come through the pandemic, we've equally suffered. Don't forget, as soon as this sort of kicked off, we were also dealing with and tackling EU exit.
Yeah, of course, and that's the thing that's compounding all the issues for sure. And
If
that's
anything,
something
you
that's kind of
would have
in the background,
expected.
Amar.
Sorry?
It's in the background, isn't it? The whole situation, the consequences of Brexit. I mean,
Yeah.
that's if it wasn't for the pandemic, that would be such we'd be making such a big hoo-ha out of it.
Without a doubt. So, what do you think the solution is, Jeff?
I think personally, I just don't think there is enough people in the UK that want to enter into hospitality. I think the solution is I think obviously the deals with the EU is the deals with the EU. I think they have to allow an influx of people to come in who have got the right desire to work. Obviously, the right profile of people. Not everyone's cousins and brothers and sisters. Bring in individuals. Open the door for 6 months, or let us. I mean, we need resource. We need skilled resource, and I think they have to be able to. We have to be able to attract them from outside the UK. The UK is still a very appealing country. Now, there's a big hoo-ha about immigration and this, that, and the other. But I just think that if they opened up the doors, like they do in the likes of the Middle East countries, when you go to Dubai, hospitality is just such a different experience because people are just so happy to work in hospitality. They understand the long hours. They understand that touch that's required. They've got the work ethic. They've got the desire, the hunger, and they come to earn money, which is a massive upgrade from what they would potentially be earning in their country. Because to go back to the EU and try and do a deal with the EU, I don't think that can happen. But if they want to make it easier to bring in people,
it's too late for that to
the
happen.
EU is done, isn't it, Amar? So they have to look beyond the EU, and I think that only takes you to one place, and that's the Indian subcontinent, because you have people who are proven to succeed in hospitality, and especially in my game. You need chefs and stuff. You can't get a hold of any chefs because it's not that one restaurant launched on the 17th of May. Every single restaurant in the country launched again. Now, some people may have been laid off. Some people may have gone off to India, to their countries, and they've never come back. Their life changed in that year. So they might have gone into other jobs. I think Amazon is a big employer now. A lot of people, chefs alike that can drive, they've looked at Amazon and they've probably moved on to Amazon and Uber Eats and all of those operators. So there is a huge shortage in hospitality, and it's just a matter of how do you fill those holes. A quick fix, make it easier, make the sponsor licenses easier, because to get a sponsor license in order to be able to get people from beyond the UK is so difficult. If they made that easier and made it more accessible, then it would give us more of a chance.
Yeah, but was it not a case of people were abusing it?
Look, of course they've abused it over the years. They haven't got the right people in, and they've got the cousins and uncles and aunts and whatever else. But I mean, what do we do though that genuinely the industry in itself needs those people? So we're not going to abuse it. So are you going to stop us from getting that resource?
Look, it's wrong, Jeff, for us to wherever there's a system, wherever there's a process, wherever people are involved and things like that, there's always the potential for people to abuse that. And it doesn't matter what color it is or what type of system it is, whether it's tax, whether it's people, whether it's whatever, right? People will always find a way to take advantage of that. Now, you're absolutely right that the mainstream and the vast majority of businesses shouldn't be penalized. And actually, what's incredible is the fact that we are seeing businesses, and it's not just hospitality, Jeff. It's leisure, it's retail, it's you wouldn't believe even the technical jobs. People have always struggled with the technical jobs and recruiting for technical roles.
Hmm.
There isn't an industry. Yes, retail and leisure and hospitality may be immediately more impacted right now, but
Mhm.
every industry is. And I think there's two things. There's the fact that you're jumping around and making it a very poor experience for everybody
Sorry.
isn't great. Um, the first thing is that this is a generational thing. You're not going to necessarily change the beliefs and behaviors of people, the current workforce,
Mhm.
because it's so hard to do that. It'd be great if you could, but
Mm.
people have become so accustomed to particular type of roles and jobs and things like that. Secondly, we need to develop the whole sector. Where have you gone now?
I'm still here. I'm still here. I'm just
The whole sector needs proper support and development from a training education point of view, so that you can uh, legitimately say to young people in who are 8, 9, 10, 11, look, there's some good jobs in leisure and hospitality. You need to start somewhere.
yeah. Let me give you an example, Amar. I put an ad out for a pastry chef,
For a
and I
what?
put the word pastry chef, someone to make, cake, because we want to make our homemade desserts.
Mm.
So a combination of cakes, ice creams, and some Indian desserts such as the gulab jam, the carrot pudding, and all that kind of stuff. Now, I put the ad out, and I then put the feeders out to friends and colleagues in the industry. And I had a lovely lady, do you know Emily, that makes the brownies?
Mm.
Oh, she makes amazing brownies. I mean, she is a top pastry chef. And she was like, "Oh, Jeff, the word came to me as well, that you're looking for a pastry chef." And I'm really sorry, but I just don't know of anybody, because I put it passed it on to a couple of people, which eventually got to her. And basically, I said to her that, look, because we can't get a pastry chef, we can't do these amazing desserts. So we've got some desserts that are nice, but not the ones that we really, really wanted to do, because we can't get a pastry chef. And I haven't even had one person that's actually, I had one girl applied for the position, and she applied, had an interview, and she was supposed to come back and make me some cakes, as a part of a trial, and she was never to be seen. So, I mean, where is everybody that is at the colleges? We did all these courses at the colleges, Amal. Is it because things like that have stopped, that there isn't an influx
There's
of
some
people
great
coming through?
people at the colleges, though. There's some really
But
exceptional.
Amal, yeah, but I mean, I'm sure there is, but there is no one who is potentially looking to fill those positions. Not one application, meaning that we can't offer something amazing that we're ready to do, because we haven't got the resource. So, and again, touching upon the mentality that you've got, a mentality that the younger generation have, and I think I think that's also really challenging, because I find that they do
Phones,
feel.
drop your microphones close to whatever.
Okay.
Sort of.
I might find that I look at 20-year-old, 21-year-old individuals, and I was going to say kids, but they're not kids. 21-year-old individuals, and they do a 30-hour week, and they're like, "Oh my God, I'm so tired. I just can't do this." And I'm thinking, really? I mean, I said to one member of staff that, "Oh, look, I would like you to set the table with this level of detail. I want all the bottles to be nice and straight, aligned, all the you know, all the names facing the front. And he was like, look, you know what? I think everything that you said is just so nice, but it's just that I just don't have the concentration levels to deliver the standards that you want. And I'm really sorry, I just can't do this. I'm going to have to, I'm not going to be able to manage. I was like, wow. You know, so, and that was him being really, really straight up and honest. And I thought, look, I really appreciate your honesty.
Yeah. And it is. That's, you know, quite a compelling statement for someone to make, isn't it?
Well, it just shows.
It's the honesty and transparency. However, Jack, I see that, and you know, I look at my 8-year-old, right, and the concentration levels are just not there.
Mm-hmm.
And that's that. It's funny that you mentioned what you've just had,
Mm.
because and it's not just 8-year-olds, 18-year-olds, 28-year-olds. It's actually all of us now, Jeff. Right? It's our concentration levels have become so shortened because of digital, right? So now young people are just sat in front of a digital device permanently. They're either sat there looking at gaming, watching things. They don't even finish one video before they're going on to the next one. That's what they do. They just, you know, they're unable to focus and concentrate for long periods of time, and that is developing and impacting their development as well. So, you know, it is so interesting that you've mentioned that, because I was reflecting on what type of things. I mean, imagine if I took my 8-year-old fishing, he'd have a heart attack. You know, as in just to sit somewhere in your own time, in
Close
your
to
own
nature
house,
and relax. No computers in your hand.
no nothing. You know, he gets it's and it's not. He, you know, I'm talking very openly, sometimes embarrassingly, because everybody's like that. And if I then started going, right, you're not doing this or you're not doing that, and don't get me wrong, you know, we on a Friday, Saturday, we bring out the board games, we do stuff. You know, he goes to cricket, he goes to karate, he goes swimming, he does piano lessons, he's doing all of these things. And sometimes I sit there and think, maybe he's doing too much. But anyway, that's his mother's like constantly, like every single night something's going on. And I'm like, I just want to sit there and relax. Well, it's, you know, those experiences, that exposures, it's a great thing. Anyway, the point being is there is no question about the impact of digital on our concentration and on our mental health and well-being. Why is it, do you think, people are you know, so much more impacted now? And why is mental health so much at the forefront of conversations? Everybody feels overwhelmed. Everybody feels anxious. It's because we're constantly connected to everything and everyone. You know, in the good old days, you'd get a letter. Can you remember those blue letters you used to get sent? And they'd open up. Can you not remember the airmail ones?
I remember all the brown letters I get from the tax man.
Well, you don't forget them. I'll try and
I don't
forget
know
them.
I don't know about the blue ones, to be honest. I don't think I've had a blue letter before, Mo.
Well, no, I don't think I've had a blue letter. I'm talking about the parents. Did you never get like airmail?
Oh, the airmail,
Yeah.
blue and red, blue and the red on the edges.
So
The airmail ones, man. Yeah.
No, as in, and you'd sit there, and you know, your parent would read it out about your relatives, and it was like, oh my God, and it would take 2 weeks to get here, and then you'd write, and it would take 2 weeks to get there, and you'd only ever really get updates every couple of weeks type thing,
Yeah,
or
of course.
you know, once a month, and that was the extent of it. You know, you'd read the news in the newspaper. So now it's like, you know, everybody's living with you. I mean, we might have been in a pandemic, right? We might have been sort of isolated and stuck at home. But all that then done was opened up our doors more broadly, more openly. So everybody's in everybody's house. I mean, there's many a time I'm walking around the house and I can see and hear Yusuf's friends. His friends are like on his iPad and they're looking and they're playing and this and that. And I'm thinking, as in inviting people around, they might as well be sat there. And the mad thing about it is you don't even know or realize the type of conversations that you're having when someone else is sat there. Now, if someone else was sat there, you'd be slightly hesitant in some of the conversations that I was having with my wife or I was on the phone to or whatever it is. But because they're there, sat there digitally, it's like you don't necessarily notice them as much. And it's really, really interesting, Jeff, the impact of digital on us.
It has been. It's been a big, massive change, but I think the digital impact on society is a bad one. Obviously, there's great benefits of digital, but in terms of the social kind of impact on us as people, I think it's really, really bad. Really, really bad. Whether it's your eyes, having a computer next to you, I mean, the dry eyes that you get, the lotions. I mean, I went to the doctor yesterday and I said, look, can I have some halo tears for my dry eyes? They were like, well, no.
Can I have some what?
It's just this really good solution for dry eyes, and the doctor was like, well, no, you can't get it. I'm not allowed. And I'm thinking, well, why? Because you have to go buy it over the counter. And I said, hold on, mate. So what do I pay all my taxes for if I can't get a little bit of bloody halo tears? And he was like, well, look, come and have a look on the system. And I said, well, I don't really, you don't need to justify it. But only thing is, I don't really believe you because my brother gets them prescribed. And why can't you prescribe them to me? So
the doctor for some dry eyes when you could have
went over the counter and bought it. But why should I buy it for?
That's outrageous. Why wouldn't you buy it?
Well, why would you not get it? If I'm paying £250,000 taxes, surely I should get some bloody dry eye, dry eye, whatever you call them.
That's
in return. It's a bit unfair, I think.
As in, gosh, I don't know, but you're right. Anyway, the point was the dry eyes. Don't make the point the doctor. The point was the dry eyes.
And then after that, right, I got a text message saying, "How did the doctor do?" And I was like, "Well, his performance was really poor." So
he's gonna get demoted.
He's gonna get struck off for not giving me some dry eye solutions.
And given the time that you spent going to the doctor, given the time that you spent talking about it afterwards and before, given the time that and the impact on your mental well-being because how annoyed you are and would be, I'm sure Halo Eyes 15.99 in Boots.
Yeah, but Ammar, if you want to get 10 though, right? One prescription will cost you £7 or £8 or something.
Right.
But if you want to get 10 from Boots, it's going to cost you £100.
Yeah. Fair enough. All right. I didn't do the maths, clearly. But even then, I'm sure your 2-3 hours and your stress and the pain and the pressure is well worth 100, 200 quid. Anyway, I don't know. I genuinely don't know. But coming back to staffing, so is it busy then, Jaff?
Really busy, like painful. It's overwhelming, the demand in hospitality at the moment. But then you expect that.
That's not across the board.
I don't know. I can only speak. I can only speak about our group. We are like incredibly busy. I think we're under. It's intense. Every day is intense. Every day is busy. Every day is pressured. We're dealing with it really, really well at the moment. But I think there's a transition, because what do you do? For us, we've set a blanket no. We were doing deliveries ourselves, and people are still ringing for deliveries, and they're absolutely gutted that we're not. And I said, well, I'm sorry, that's the first thing that we knocked off. And then they're asking for takeaways, right? Now on a Saturday night, and we just can't do it. Jasmine can, but High Bridge and Kai Kai, we cannot do any takeaways. Even on a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and some guests, the people are so gutted that they just want to get a takeaway because they want to have a takeaway at home because they're not ready to dine out. But we just can't do everything, so we have to pick and choose. And unfortunately, takeaways are really, it's impossible to do them from Kai Kai, impossible to do wraps. So there's that transition that operators are making. So I don't know how that's impacting on takeaways generally, because is that going to uplift the takeaways because they're going to be busier because the restaurants are not doing takeaways anymore. So I think there's a change in the trend, isn't there, Ammar, at the moment? Our business is obviously doing far better than what they ever did because we're able to have dine-in customers and sell alcohol and drinks. But then we're not doing takeaways, so I think the takeaway industry must be kind of having a boost as well because of restaurants not being able to do takeaways. So it's going to be there's that change, evolution in the leisure sector, hospitality sector because of this change, and I guess some are going to fare better than others for sure. But I think it is really busy from what I've known, what I've seen.
Yeah, so I mean, gosh, we've been really fortunate, Jeff, and you'll see in my Northern Insight column, how fortunate we've been in that it opened up on the 17th. It was our wedding anniversary. By 10 a.m. I was sat at Fortnum, Mason and Rye at Phoenix, eating brunch, eating smoked salmon and scrambled eggs on sourdough with creme fraiche. It was amazing. And then on Thursday, we were fortunate to go to the best restaurant in the world, and have an incredible experience. And it's just been a joy to see and feel and see that. And then last Friday, we were in Fratelli's. We just sort of rang up, yeah, loads of space. It wasn't that busy. Maybe at the time when we got there on Saturday, to make up for the fact that I went to Fortnum, Mason and Rye on the Monday and had to take half a morning off. I worked, but the wife took the kids to soft play, got them in there. On Sunday, we were at the cinemas in the Metro Centre watching Peter Rabbit 2. We got in there. On Monday, I got up, had my second jab, and drove to see him, Middlesbrough, toured the region, seeing lots of people. Great stuff, as in seeing people, but what it was highly inefficient, the whole travel, because I probably spent, well, I left home at 7:30, and I got back to the office about 2:30. So let's just say 6-7 hours. Out of 6-7 hours driving around, parking, doing whatever, I must have spent an hour and a half with people. So you just think, I just wasted 4 or 5 hours getting around. Yet if I had done this, I would have been able to catch up, but it's not the same. I think there is that balance. People want to see people. People want to, some people I'd met for the first time, and you don't know if they've got legs or not. That might sound a bit funny, but you don't know how tall they are. You don't know how big they are, because the only thing you see is that bit. And that's why I've been working out on my arms and shoulders primarily. My midriff has just gone like that. But the point being is being quite fortunate in getting into places, out into things and such like. And whilst it's been busy, the Metro Centre was busy, but it wasn't like, oh my God,
It's not like before, for sure.
Sorry?
It's not like this. I don't think retail in city centres.
I don't think anywhere is. Town, there's people around. You're seeing people going in and out of places, but it's not. There's still significant hesitancy. And if you think up here, where traditionally, where I'm sat, traditionally people would just eat out anyway because they can and they do. They eat out every day. it's not like rammed, as in there's probably spaces and places that we can get into. Oh, sorry, I missed out the on. So during the day I worked, and then on Saturday we went into I went into town, went to that Mulligan's golf place. That was good. Have you been there? Have
In
you heard of it?
town? Is it in
Yeah,
town?
yeah.
No, I
It's
don't think so.
it's a crazy golf place at the old co-op next to the gate.
Oh, okay.
And it was busy. That was busy, but it wasn't like there's queues out the door type thing. It was just it's a good experience. Took the kids, took my 8-year-old and his friend and his father, and then we went to this Italians called La Famiglia, the family, and it's in sort of Denton Burn, West Denton, some
Okay.
obscure place, but it was an incredible Italian. It was so tasty and it was
Really?
so cheap. And that was a capacity. Apparently you can't get in there, but it's like it's in just outside of Scotswood.
Okay.
So the location's an interesting location, but the food was first class and cheap as chips. As in it was like in comparison to the other restaurants that are out there.
Yeah.
So all I'm saying is it's nice to be out and about. It's nice to see people. But I didn't come out of any of those experiences other than the people that I was with thinking, oh my God, I'm so glad I've done that, other than the experience that we had last Thursday night. As in, I'm not sat there ungrateful. I'm very, very grateful for being able to get to these places, and we've saved up some pennies to be able to afford some of these luxuries. But I was reading a really interesting article this morning, and it spoke about all of the historic flus. So from the plague to the Spanish flu to world wars, where everybody's been prohibited from going out. There's been a significant rise in savings. So people have saved money.
Yeah.
They then come out and spend that money, but that isn't sustained. So the fact is after a little bit, as in having been out quite a bit given the circumstances. So having gone from not doing anything for like half a year, 9 months, whatever it is, to going out a few times, I'm happy to sit at home now. I'm really happy to just be at home and continue doing the things that are really efficient and effective. I think for me, this hybrid model's the future. So I'm very surprised that you need to look at your business model, because all operators have established and structured both takeaway as well as on site, haven't they? Is what they've done. And there's from a viability point of view, it's more profitable. Takeaways are more profitable in the grand scheme of things when you measure the resource required to deliver them and the return on that resource.
Not really, I don't think they are more.
Well, okay. I think if you broke it down into like detailed overheads, I'm not talking about, if you look at the cost of creating and delivering a takeaway as opposed to someone coming in, serving them, and all of the resources required. The challenge you have is when you do both. And that's what I'm talking about, because then the business model becomes a slightly hybrid business model. So because you're opening the restaurant, then naturally people are going to spend more inside the restaurant, because you've then got your wet sales as well, which you wouldn't necessarily have in the takeaway. I'm talking about if it was one or the other. And that's why the business model shift between all of the big restaurants and the big chains, because they've purposefully provisioned and set up two business models within the one. So the takeaway arm of their business is quite explicit, and it runs like a takeaway. The sit-in experience and the business model is split, so they can manage and monitor that separately. So that allows them to increase the profit margins in those circumstances. It's when you're trying to do a bit of both that in that combined model that you can understand some of the challenges. But it's so busy every day, Jalf? Is it like sort of at capacity?
Every day. Well, no, I mean we're not too well. I mean the Dabawal, yes, they are at capacity, full every day, and vibrant at lunch, very busy in the evening, finishing later than ever before. I think people are having a lot more drinks and just staying out for longer. And I think, like you said, Amar, that maybe just a trend that that we see in the first few weeks, and it might settle. I think we've noticed that Phoenix seems to be a little bit slower last week or this week than what it was previously. I think I'm not sure why that is, because I've not really had a chance to actually go into the city centre and have a little observation myself, because I've been stuck in the restaurants. Also by the river, that's not as busy because I think people have obviously spent a lot more time in restaurants and the weather hasn't been brilliant. So overall, I think
How's the by the river operating then, Jalf?
I think it's decent. It's decent. It's they've made some changes, but because it's you have to be seated to dine, obviously it's very restricted in terms of numbers. So I think they're just waiting to see what happens after the next announcement on when it is on the 25th of June to see if there's any kind of change. And if they do relax everything and you can have people walking and doing ordering as they used to do, where you can have effectively have 10,000 people over a weekend as opposed to 2,000 because you have to be seated. So until that happens, it's not gonna be firing on all cylinders.
Okay.
But generally, it's okay. So yeah, I think it's just nice to see people out. It's just nice to see and feel there's some kind of little bit of normality back. But let's just hope
that the shift in behavior is a very interesting one as well.
Yeah.
So you're seeing more people, as you say, hooking up, wanting to go to restaurants. The casual side of things has been impacted, and people sort of going into places like Phoenix and such like, and then takeaways. So takeaways generally, I think, took a bit of a hit, but a bit like me, whilst will we go out at tea time? Possibly.